What's going down, AP Gut Peeps? We have unit number 2 for you. This video will be about 10 minutes or less. Everything you need to know about unit number 2 to succeed in government. All right, so let's talk about citizens' beliefs about government. You need to understand and identify and be able to describe different citizens' beliefs. Well, political efficacy is the belief in government and an individual's ability to influence government. So the more you believe you can influence the government, the more likely you are to be involved, whether it's through voting, campaigning, something along those lines. Your efficacy is tied into how involved you are in politics. The higher the efficacy, the more likely you are to vote. And here's 4 basic American beliefs. Number 1, people believe in political equality. Everybody should be equal politically. 2, believe in the free enterprise system or capitalism. 3, equality for opportunity. Everybody should have the opportunity to go as far as they can or want. And finally, a mistrust of government, especially since the 1970s with the Watergate scandal and the presidency of Richard Nixon. Now, it's important to note Americans generally do not believe in economic equality. They believe in economic opportunity or equality of opportunity, but not economic equality. So if you see a multiple choice question, don't be fooled by economic equality. Okay, political socialization. This is the process in which people gain their political beliefs or orientation. In other words, it's how you learn about politics and what your beliefs are. And there are 3 major ways that people are socialized. Number 1 is family. Here's an embarrassing picture of me from the 1980s. This is me. Look at the size of those ears. I look like Dumbo. Anyway, I was socialized primarily by my family, my dad, my brother, and my mom. The media plays a large role in socialization, as does school. As individuals age, they are more likely to engage in politics or voting. You see senior citizens. That group has the largest percentage of voters. So be able to identify and explain 3 ways in which individuals are politically socialized. Public opinion. It is measured by taking polls, which takes a sample of the population. It was made famous by this dude, Mr. Gallup. Now, some characteristics of effective polls. You have to have random sampling. So the people that you poll have to be random. It has to be representative of the larger portion of the country of which you are trying to measure. A large sample size with a low margin of error is a very key point. So usually the larger the sample size, the more accurate and the lower the margin of error of polls. And the wording of the question should be unbiased. This is very important because how you ask can lead to certain answers. What do polls reveal? Well, there's a disconnect between Americans and government. Again, that distrust of government. And many Americans are weary of big government. And this has been a trend since the 1970s, Vietnam War, Watergate, Nixon. Since then, we have seen Americans move more in this direction. When we're talking about participation in politics, there are 2 major ways to participate. One is conventional, which includes voting, campaigning, donating money. The most common way from here is through voting. The unconventional methods of participation include protest, civil disobedience, and violence. And I want you to think of Martin Luther King and Henry David Thoreau when you think of protest or civil disobedience, this idea of breaking unjust laws. This is a way to participate in politics to hope to bring about change. In general, the higher the socioeconomic status of an individual, the more likely they are to participate in some way, shape, or form. Blacks and whites vote overall in close numbers percentage-wise for their groups. And the older the individual, the higher the participation. As I mentioned before, senior citizens vote at very high rates. Okay, citizens' political beliefs. There's 2 major political ideologies. In general, when we talk about liberals, people like FDR come to mind. And here are their beliefs in general. Doesn't mean every liberal believes this, but usually this is what they believe. Decrease in military spending, tend to be pro-choice when it comes to abortion. Higher taxes on the wealthy, and they favor or advocate increased social program spending like Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, things like that. Conservatives, which Ronald Reagan is a great example of, in general, they believe in increased military spending. They are pro-life, so they are against abortion. They advocate lower taxes on wealthy and decreased social program spending. They favor smaller government, whereas liberals tend to favor larger government. And women, African Americans, Americans under the age of 30, all of them are more likely to identify as liberal than conservative. All right, we'll finish up with a quick recap. Political advocacy and 4 major American political beliefs. Make sure you know those 4. Political socialization and the 3 ways it occurs. Remember, it is family, media, and school. Public opinion, how is it measured and what are characteristics of quality polls? Conventional and unconventional participation in politics, be able to identify and explain. That could be a free response question. Characteristics of liberals and conservatives, that is a must know for this course. All right, guys, look forward to seeing you back here for unit number 3 in 10 minutes. Thank you very much for watching. Best of luck on your exam in May, and have a good day.